Welcome to the Addicted to DVC podcast, a deep dive into all things Disney Vacation Club. We share tips, tricks, and insider info, helping you make the most of your membership. Join us for the latest news, reviews, and interviews with DVC experts and enthusiasts. Whether you're a seasoned DVC member or considering your first contract, this podcast is for you. Now, here are your hosts, Mike Hurley and Gary Arruda.
Welcome to the Addicted to DVC podcast with Mike and Gary. This is episode 46, recorded in the DeFont Leroy Recording Studios in Sarasota, Florida, and Cranston, Rhode Island. I'm your host, Mike in Florida, joined by my cousin and co-host, Gary in Rhode Island. Good evening, Gary.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm going. It's going.
I have a question for you.
Yeah, okay.
This is a little housekeeping question.
Yeah, sure.
So you announced me from Cranston, Rhode Island, which is accurate.
Okay.
And then you announced yourself from Sarasota, Florida, which is inaccurate.
Okay.
That would be like me announcing myself from like Putnam, Connecticut. It's about that close.
Not necessarily, but we don't say you're not going to say Parrish, Florida. Nobody knows where the hell it is.
Well, no one knows where Cranston is either. Just you do because you grew up.
Yeah, but nobody knows where Providence is. So it's
Well,
like
they
a
know
half
Providence.
dozen, whatever they call that saying.
I just like nitpicking with you.
Yeah, well, take it up with HR, right?
I'll just say Boston. From Boston, Massachusetts.
Do you want me to start? You want me to change it? I'll just use
that's
Boston.
okay. That's okay. I'm just giving you a hard time. I got to give it to you once in a while.
You do it all the time. You completely disrespect me.
That's true. That's a very good point. But speaking of not disrespecting someone that I greatly respect, we have a friend of the program on today. We have Saratoga Joe joining us today. What's going on, Joe?
Gary, what's up, brother? How are you? Coming to you, I guess, live from Volusia County, Florida.
Volusia County, Florida?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, where the hell's Ormond Beach, right? Yeah, nobody knows where that is. But
nobody knows where Ormond Beach is. Yeah, I would use like either Jacksonville or Daytona Beach.
Daytona Beach, yeah.
Literal over here.
Well, I'm just saying you're using two different standards. That's all. I don't care about where you say you're from.
I don't have standards. You haven't figured that out yet?
That's what I'm calling you on.
I'd say I have a lady that works for me. She goes to Providence, Rhode Island to go to work. There definitely is a difference between Providence and Boston.
Yes.
So,
yes.
And when you fly into Providence, you're flying into Warwick. The airport's in Warwick. Again, another technicality.
Yeah, they put a stupid sign up there.
could you say Southwest Florida, Mike, I guess? I mean, kind of.
I could say Southwest Florida, but then Gary didn't believe that it was Southwest Florida, even though the radio stations say that they're Southwest Florida.
No, I agree with that. Southwest. That's what I say on Beyond the Gates.
South of St. Pete is like Southwest Florida. Starting.
I say sunny Southwest Florida.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's fine. It's fine. We have
I'm
some
glad I got
class
your
on the
permission.
program today. I just wanted to know what the reasoning was behind it, and if you say it's because of the name recognition of Sarasota, I accept that answer.
Okay, thank you.
And we will move forward. Anyhow, we do have a guest. Joe? You haven't been on in a while, but
it's been a hot minute. It's been busy, man. Life gets in the way.
Yeah.
Even on our group chat, I mean, it's I come and go. I've had a lot of stuff going on professionally and personally at home and stuff like that. But it's been a while. But when I talked to, first of all, the funny story, when Mike was messaging me, he's like, "Hey, are you good for Sunday?" I thought he was talking about playing golf. I'm all about it. I'm like, "You play on Saturday?" I'm like, "I'm playing Sunday. I might not be able to play." He's like, "No, to come on the show." So I got all excited that we were going to play golf and finally hook up.
It took us like almost an hour and a half a week ago. And because he said something, I'm like, well, we're closed until a week from Saturday. He's like, well, where are you going to play? I'm like, well, we can play a reciprocal. Both of us were completely.
Yeah, we were not.
We had no idea. No idea what was going on.
Talking two different languages.
Yeah. So golf never happened, but we are here today. So I am excited for that. But yeah, it's been a while, but I'm excited to be on the show with you boys. And yeah. So I'm excited to talk a little bit of DVC tonight. It's been a while. And yeah.
Joe is like the original like DVC shaman for us, right?
Yeah.
Like we brought him on and Phil when we were first trying to dip our toes into the DVC world, and now we're
the professors when we were doing
fully addicted.
DVC, 101 or whatever it's called.
Yeah, I think you guys have surpassed me. I mean, like I said, I love my DVC contracts. I do. I love being, Saratoga Joe and staying in Saratoga. I got a poly reservation coming up in like a month. I got like a nice little staycation weekend, but for your listeners know this, but I'm just going to say this as the outsider coming in. Man, you guys are just like always looking for like other contracts. I can't keep up. I mean, I guess, I have to like distance myself, because if I start looking, I'd probably come across that one like, oh, it's a cheap 30 pointer. Let me look into that. Like I would end up buying something.
That's the problem.
But you guys are just like on top of it.
Speaking of, there's a nice little add-on 50 pointer at Saratoga. It's a 5-pointer.
Probably gone already, man.
I think it's like $89. That's for a small contract too.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
That's a
steal. That's a steal.
A great deal.
It's probably stripped, but
even still at that point,
still, you take the year or two penalty and just kind of wait for it to replenish itself.
And we saw one at Vero, and it was so dirty because it was what was it, like $34 a point or something?
Yeah, but it was 700 points, wasn't it?
It was 600 points. The annual dues, Joe, more than like we all play on a mortgage. I mean, it was What did I say it was going to be, Gary?
You said it was like $745 a month in annual dues.
Yeah.
It gets to a point where you're almost better off. Like, I know you could trade and go different places, right? But you're almost better off like buying a condo at some point.
Oh, you so much are, but look at the filthy things you could do with 600 points.
There's a lot of things you could do with 600. That could also be 6 nights in a cabin. That's about it. Depends how you spend them. So
that's what I like, though.
Yeah.
I've done that. Remember, I told you guys I did the one night at the Cascade Cabins. It was 95 points.
Yeah.
That was awesome, though.
Yeah, see?
You don't regret that. I don't. I'm glad I did it. We never left the cabin for a day and a half. So.
No, why would you?
Yeah,
you got to take full advantage of it.
We cooked, we hung out, watched the fireworks from the deck. It was
from
awesome.
The hot tub that's built in, which is
the hot tub worked. It was fantastic. So
it's actually, Mike, that's actually a pretty good segue, though. You talk about like a dirty Vero contract for 600 points.
600 points, yeah.
And a lot of people would say rent out the points to pay for your dues, but
exactly. That's when I saw it last week. I'm like, is this one of those corporate renters unloading 600 at Vero?
That's a good point. I wonder how many, depending on
huge contracts we're going to start seeing for sale.
Yeah, people trying to get out from under some of these investment properties, so to speak.
Or they'll just try to find new ways to
work around it.
So there's an article here from DVC fan from Paul Krieger.
Oh, yeah.
And it says, on June 2nd, 2025, Disney Vacation Club introduced a new policy that could impact how members make reservations, especially those who rent out their vacation points. A new required checkbox has been added to the final step of the online booking process, asking members to confirm that their reservation is for personal use only. While simple in execution, the new step is paired with updated terms and conditions that give DVC greater authority to define and enforce what it considers commercial rental activity. So there's more that I could read, but basically, I mean, did you look at it, Gary? I mean, it's basically you just clicking that box.
Now you have to click the box.
You do have to click the box, yes.
So let's say it was not for personal use. You can't go forward with the reservation at this point if you want to be honest about it.
No, it really doesn't look, because I got that room the end of June that I booked, that boardwalk that had just opened up, and it's over where like you just agree to terms and conditions, or you have read whatever that box was that you have to click and then go next.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where they filled it in.
So you can't say that you're renting it at this point. You have to basically say you're doing it for personal use, and then they can crack down on the back end, I guess. They're putting things in place to start cracking down if they want. I don't know how they're going to enforce it. That's my biggest thing. You did say they talked about it at the meeting, right?
Yeah, they did last December. They had talked about that they were really looking into the corporate renters and walking reservations. And they think that they go hand in hand. People think that it's the corporate renters who primarily walk reservations.
Oh,
I'm not sure if that's the case.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think there's a large faction that does that, because if your corporation, quote unquote, or however your property management or whoever is managing that large account, there's been articles and some stuff out there on Reddit boards about obviously walking reservations and walking prime reservations for like specific resorts for specific times. And if that's your job and that is, you're going to get up every day and walk that reservation, that's part of you. Look, if all of us could do that for a living and that's what we got paid to do, I would get up and be like, I'm ready to walk that reservation or walk these reservations. That's what they're doing. I mean, think about it, right? What would be a prime, right off the top of my head, like I'm thinking like prime reservation, any sort of room at the beach club over New Year's, any room at the boardwalk, Christmas,
or a lot of the
Easter,
cheaper
all of those.
boardwalks.
Yep, all of those, kinds of rooms that like you can get top dollar for a cheap price or whatever. I mean, those are all prime, prime reservations to walk and to to, I guess, sell. I mean, in my opinion, guys, the checking of the box, that is the that's DVC essentially talking with their lawyers, and
that's like CYA, right?
Yeah, it's essentially consenting. It's essentially when you sign up for Disney Plus and you checked all those boxes that you say, I'm not going to sue you, can go to remediation. That's the same thing. You're just checking, you're signing your life away.
Right.
And that's what it is. It's letting them have the green light to cancel or because they have the right still, even under DVC, if you look at the contract, to cancel reservations for whatever reason. And I think it's like anything else. It's one of those things where if DVC is noticing a pattern with certain contracts and large amounts of points, it gives them the green light to do what they got to do. I think for us here, guys, I own 180 points. I'm not in their target if I rent it out or there's nothing that I'm going to do that's going to flag anything. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that in my opinion, I would never be worried about this, but.
No, I think you're right. Like, even if you rented all the points you owned every year for the rest of your contract, you'd probably never get to their radar.
No.
I'm guessing they start at the 4-figure points where they're going to start raising eyebrows at people.
Yeah, that's what I was curious, because I was actually listening to Paul's he went live and I listened to the podcast last week. And he basically thinks 150 to 200 a year isn't anywhere near what they're looking for. He thought the same thing that you're talking about, Gary, is the people who own 5,000-6,000 points and they're unloading 1,000, 2,000, 3,000.
I'm sure they'll be able to spot trends.
Oh yeah,
if they look into it, and that's where they're going to start at least.
Just look at contract numbers.
Yeah,
this and contract number is and it's got 900 different names assigned to it. Yeah,
I don't think they want to discourage people like us from renting their points out once in a while so they don't lose points.
Yeah, I mean, like Joe,
that's an advantage of having DVC, right? Is the flexibility of it.
Flexibility of it, exactly.
Sickos like me and you, Mike, we're never going to be sitting on extra points, but if we did and you were in danger of losing points, it'd be nice to be able to rent it and at least break even on those points once every 5 years or something.
Or people buy contracts and they just want to rent out a certain percentage so that they can cover their annual dues. There's nothing wrong with that.
But there is a difference, guys. I will say this, and Gary hit the nail on the head there, where DVC allows you flexibility. DVC is, and this is why DVC is so popular. It's much different than a traditional old school timeshare. Like, for example, you guys know I've talked about this before on your show. My parents have a week at Orange Lake. So I met you guys. Still love the vlog. We also have 2 or 3 weeks in Aruba. My parents go for the last 30 years. They've been going to Aruba. There's a difference when you own a specific room and a specific week. And like that is your assigned room. With DVC, it's you got points and they replenish a certain use year and all that stuff, but it's very fluid. It's very flexible. You're never in the same room every year. We're not in the same resort every time. So to look at it as an investment per se, I know it's kind of like a gray area, and DVC does have the right to cancel things, but I think it's almost you ask anybody like us, they're going to say, yeah, we're against this. But then you ask the investors, like, no, it's an investment. To me, investing in a hotel room at Disney World property is not an investment. I'm sorry. You want to make an investment, go buy a condo outside property. I mean, it's kind of watering down the availability. It's making it harder and harder to get rooms for certain dates and certain times. Like, for example, my buddy Justin from Disney Dad's podcast, he Today's day one for Saratoga Springs for marathon weekend. He's on a wait list for Saratoga Springs. I mean, when does that ever happen? So availability is becoming harder and harder. Even though the parks are not as busy, people are still going to the resorts. So, but my point, kind of circling back, is, it's not a specific room or a specific week at a certain resort. It's fluid, it's flexible, and it makes it much more difficult. And I'm actually really glad to see DVC kind of, putting, kind of slowing this down a little bit per se, because it's been talked about for a really long time. And I think it's maybe gotten to the point now, and it's just like maybe enough is enough. Something happened. Everything is always reactive, right, guys? Especially with the Disney company. Yeah. So something happened somewhere. So we'll see what happens if there's any lawsuits about this either. I'd be very curious to see if one of these larger corporations, once they start canceling reservations, is in Orange County court. Be very curious.
That is interesting, but the initial contract does say not for commercial use. So when you bought these points in the first, it's not like they changed it. They're just saying they're going to start enforcing it now.
But then somebody with a good lawyer challenge what's considered commercial use.
Yeah, of course.
It's in my name, and I don't have an LLC.
Right? Yeah.
So, I'm on the side of I'm glad they're doing it, because me and my little 180 points, I'd like to try to bounce around if I could. So.
I mean, I'll be honest. Given the choice of the renting and the walking, which one I could eliminate first, I'd eliminate the walking first.
Yeah, I would too. That
I think that's a bigger headache for people like us just trying to get our rooms at our 11-month or 7-month mark. Because that's the crappy part, is when, like, Mike, you own at Riviera, and if you want to book a duo studio at a high demand time of year,
like September when it's 10 points,
you should have as much of an opportunity at that 11-month mark as every other owner. You shouldn't be fighting against walking people that have been eyeing that weekend for
for a month,
3 months. And then sometimes not even wanting that. They're just in their walking process. So they're holding it up because they want the following weekend.
That's a really good point.
And and then you don't go back. You're not, Mike does, but a lot of people aren't going to go back every day and look and see if like that last day falls off and then you can book something.
Yeah, because it's so easy for me being where I live, Joe, that you can just look. And if you see, the Poly is open in 2 months, 3 months. Okay, I can go jump on it. But for someone like Gary, he has to plan his vacation. He's planning his July trip when he's checking out in July. I mean, you got to plan, around kid schedules,
right?
Work schedules, flights. I mean, it's a pain in the butt. He can't on a whim say, there's a few nights open at Saratoga, let's go down in August and cancel our July trip. It's just, that's who I feel bad for, the people who come down here once a year, because I've always gotten my wait lists, and I've always gotten a room I've wanted.
Yeah, I mean, the only night you couldn't get a room was the marathon. You waitlisted and you ended up paying cash for Coronado.
Yeah, I just paid cash for Coronado. Yeah, but
you also waited a long time. It's not like you did it at the 11-month or the 7-month.
No, that's right. Yeah, it was poor planning on my part. Absolutely. But I heard there was a lady in the Riviera group, and she's like, I just bought a contract, and I thought May was the slow period. I could not get a tower studio or the regular studio with the cheaper points. And I said, at 11 months, I said, you're out of your mind. So I went on the site just to disprove what she's saying. Nope, she's right. You can't get 11 months out at your home resort.
That's crazy.
Because there's only 24 of those tower studios, and there's a small amount of inventory for the resort, as they call it now. It used to be Standard View, but Resort View. And those are the two cheapest categories that people want. And you cannot get those now at 11 months. And I was telling Gary last week, I could see the pattern, because you could now start to see days opening up as people are walking these. The Sunday and the Monday were closed, and then you look up and now, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are closed, but the weekend before now are open. So everybody's walking these stupid reservations.
And Riviera is not even a highly sought after reservation. I mean, it's a nice resort. Don't get me wrong.
Gary, I think it's becoming that. I think it's and Mike is a example of this. I think it's got its It's niche. Not I would say it's niche because I think it's pretty popular. I think it's
Very-
really
it's
it's
very
got a
popular.
lot
There's
of people that really like it.
There's just haters out in the community.
There's just haters, yeah. But I think the haters, Mike, goes back to just the resale restrictions on it, and it's an automatic. People just hate it because it's like, oh, that's a big black eye to that. But the resort itself is great. I mean,
well, I'm not saying it's not good. I'm not saying it's not popular, but if you were listing like the most sought after rooms, it wouldn't be in the top 5 necessarily.
I think the problem is that there's just,
or maybe it is
one of the smaller resorts.
Well, that's
There's not a heck of a lot of inventory.
Yeah, that can definitely do it.
That's why the addition of the Grand Floridian, when they added on from the main resort into the DVC contract, that was huge because Grand Floridian was the smallest, and it was extremely hard to get rooms in there.
Yeah, 7-month people aren't getting in there.
No, you maybe get a night here or there. Yeah, but you're doing a split stay then to get one night. Is it really worth it? No, not really. So,
yeah, I mean, I really hope they start cracking down on it, and I hope they are able to kind of do it gently, because I don't want people who think they're renting points to a legitimate website to get their reservations canceled either.
Right. Yep.
Like if I had my once in a lifetime trip booked through whatever David's DVC rentals and I paid $4,000 for it to stay at a 2-bedroom or something somewhere, and then all of a sudden you get the email saying that Disney canceled the reservation because it was like considered commercial use, I'd be pretty pissed off.
Yeah.
Like, I hope they could somehow honor the current ones and like just stop it from happening. I don't want to see people getting their reservations canceled. I want to see it somehow denied at the time. I don't know how they'll do that. I have no idea how they're going to do any of it.
I'm sure that, like I said, when they put out some sort of press release like this, some sort of news like this, that they have an idea of they've got an idea of what they're wanting to do already, and they're kind of putting out like the warning, like this is going to start happening now. They've got people or targeted or identified or contracts or companies identified.
This was in the works back in December. You're right, Joe. They've had their eyes on this.
It was probably in the works a lot longer than that. If they talked about
we told you.
It's
like, we talked about it at the condo meeting. We told you it's right here and all the lawyers have signed off on it. They've all checked off on it. And like I said, it's kind of a warning shot. So listen, I have nothing to worry about. I've never rented points. I think all of us on this call here right now, and probably a lot of your listeners, if not all of them, we always are using up all of our points or borrowing. So
I'll tell you what, though, I do look at contracts and wonder if I could make a few bucks off of them.
Well, now I wouldn't start thinking that too much now.
100 points, I'll be all right.
No, I know. Well, you're not going to make any money doing that either. I don't know. Or is there maybe going to I wonder if Disney's way of handling this is going to take this internal and allow people like us, if we want to rent our points, to sell them back to Disney as like they can rent it to people and they get
you think they're going to put these third parties out of business?
Yeah. That would be one way to stop it, because then you just rent it back at whatever price it is.
Gary, the question is, though, are these third-party businesses really the ones managing the contracts of thousands of points? Because these third-party contracts are like taking the reservations that like you've already booked pretty much, or you know what I'm saying? Like you're saying, I have 5 nights at Riviera. Oh, we'll take that. We'll rent it out. Like,
yeah, they don't own the points. They're middlemen.
But I don't think so-and-so DVC rental is going to be managing somebody who's got a 10,000 point contract.
No, but who are these people? Like, where are they selling them? Directly through their own?
I would think if they have a property, there's probably a property management companies out there that do this, and maybe it's not advertised.
Yeah, but I've never seen. You're not going to make money if the public doesn't know about it. It's not
no. Or
where do you find these listings?
But let me ask you a question. Even with this we're talking about, is it also these corporations that own this and they give them to their employees? Is that kind of something at the same time? I mean, is that also what they're targeting too, or is it because that's commercial? Using it for it almost be like a company owning a box at a be a company opening a box at a stadium, right? Like, oh, and friends can use it, whatever. Like, is that the same thing, or I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either, because I was wondering that too. Like, if I booked a room for my family and it's not for my personal use, but I'm gifting it to somebody, like, is that checking that box doesn't absolve you
Absolutely.
of that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Every time you check that box, if you're using it for other than personal use, you're lying. As far as they're concerned, correct?
I guess
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I mean,
But what do you consider personal use? Like, gifting it is, I'm using that personally as a gift. That's considered personal use, right? I'm personally renting them. That's considered personal use.
I think it's also I'm trying to find here. It's Disney reserves the right to cancel or modify a reservation, including after the reservation has been confirmed, if the reservation includes or resulted from a mistake or error of any kind, if Disney confirms that reservation was made for a commercial purpose and not for personal use, or where it appears that a guest has engaged in fraudulent or misleading activity in the making of this reservation. So that is very, very subjective.
Yeah,
It is.
really.
As somebody who's in law enforcement, that is below reasonable suspicion. That is.
Now, do you think that like fraudulent activity is going to start including walking reservations? Because then they can start canceling those.
It's like anything else, Gary. They could say, "Oh, we that activity is not common with a typical reservation." Like, oh, you are a guest and you've picked this day for your vacation. It's not normal to see somebody's account keep moving the dates. They could say, is there fraud here? I mean, like, it's all subjective, man. Like, the lawyers are brilliant. They've written this thing with the perfect amount of words to essentially cancel for any reason. I mean, really.
Which they probably could have anyway. At any point, they could have just said it was made in error. We suspect. Now it's just a little more crystal clear.
Yeah. Oh, so somebody moved your reservation. Oh, that's probably made an error. Do you want to do this? We'll move it back to the original date. Oh,
I'd be okay with them not allowing you to modify reservations more than like once,
Exactly,
without calling or something
it is
like that.
so easy to put that to a stop. It's so easy.
But then you're overwhelming the phone. Well, that's the thing. You overwhelm the phone lines, and people just it's like, oh, it's not worth doing it.
Well, then you can't do it, because then those dates are going to get gobbled up by people doing it legitimately.
Yeah, and they keep track of that stuff, man. Like, I mean, I've made some mistakes before where I call up DVC and forgot the bank points on a certain day. I've talked about it with you guys before. I shot myself in the foot. Dude, they know, man. They see that. They know. I mean, that's why, for example, when I did the one night at the cabins at a Wilderness Lodge, there was no way I was going to call up and be like, oh, I grabbed the wrong contract for this. My points are expired. I have 95 points expiring in like less than a month. Can you they've banked my stuff like a couple. They're never going to do that again. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to find a room. And I did, because, it's the boy who cried wolf, and yes, they'll sprinkle pixie dust, but it gets to a point where,
you're a repeat offender. They don't.
You're a repeat offender. Now you're just like, pay attention. So,
No, I think the walking is easier to stop than the
It's
renting.
totally easy, because even if like you said, having to call member service to modify, well, there's a difference between modifying a reservation from Boardwalk to Beach Club because it opened up, as opposed to modifying it, canceling a day and adding a day. I mean, that's total walking.
You could do it once. Like we've all traveled for work where you're like, oh, I'm gonna cut my trip short one day. Can I check out a day early? Sure, no problem. Or I'm gonna stay a day later. But look, can you constantly do it? And like, Mike, you're trying to get that room at Riviera. That lady's trying to get that tower suite, right? The tower mini suite. It's like, yeah, no, you've done this 18 times already. It's
because that's what I don't know. When do people start? Like, when you're walking. Like, didn't Phil say he walked his like Grand Cal for like 3 months or something?
Like,
months. And I have by the way, I have no problem with people doing it, because it's part of the play right now.
Yes, it is.
It's the only way you can get stuff because of people doing it. But I mean, it's crazy to me.
Like, I don't need a room bad enough, because like I said, I can get in everywhere. But Grand Cal?
Yeah.
I get it. I completely get it.
And I still don't understand how you can walk at 7 months, though, because an owner could come in and swoop those days out. from
Right,
underneath you
exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
At any time between that 11 and 7 month mark.
All of the loopholes, and this is what happens with social media and podcasts like your guys' show, my show, and the DVC fan, all these websites. Stuff gets out there, and it's more well known. I think years ago this was never a thing. Nobody knew about
No
it.
doubt. Yep.
Nobody knew about this stuff.
No.
Well, you used to not be able to do stuff online. You had to call. And,
Yeah, you had to call member services
You know?
basically for everything. I remember old episode with Peter Likes Meter when they were explaining. He had no idea what
about
walking
walking,
was.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's
He
funny
threw
is
out
that you could walk a reservation. Mike, I was supposed to play golf at the Palm with a friend of mine, Justin from our show. He's down in Disney World right now this week. He's staying at Saratoga, and I'm not able to play. The weather looks kind of crappy that day anyway, and it's like 105 in Orlando right now. It's super hot, but I had to call up to cancel. I couldn't even cancel it online.
Oh,
It's like you could book it online. You can't
Oh,
cancel
what a
online.
joke.
So it's like you could, what I'm saying, you could modify a timeshare, and I know they're different companies. I know one's Arnold Palmer and it's separate from Disney. I get it, but it's like, I had to call up for a tea time and cancel it. But you got people moving vacations for 30 days plus, it's, I don't know. Some things just don't make any sense, but
I think it's good. I think 99% of point owners want no renting and no
Mhm.
walking. Or not no renting,
Or
like
renting
cut down on-
limited rent. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Limited.
I don't like the commercial. I don't like renting booked weeks. I hate seeing that on those websites. Like, oh, here's this 4-day stay over Thanksgiving at a villa at the
And
Grand
that's all
Floridian.
you see, isn't it?
Right, that's the money makers.
All these yep.
Because it's one thing to go on like one of those DVC sites. Because I did it before I owned. I went in and I put in the dates I wanted. I listed like my top 3 choices, and they found something that matched up, and they booked the room. The room was available, and they had an owner that was looking to rent points that booked it for me. Like that, I don't really. Even going forward commercially, I don't have a problem with that because those rooms aren't taken when the request is made. Right, that's
Right.
fair. Those points are still fair game, more or less. And whether someone rents them out or not, like in theory, those points should not go unused. Like that, we don't really want that to happen.
Mm-mm.
I mean, I guess it doesn't really affect us that much, but we don't want thousands and thousands of points to just go unused for no reason. But when they start nabbing up these really sought after rooms and not giving the regular Joes a chance to get them, that's where it gets frustrating, for sure. I don't know.
I think that's my one big pet peeve about being DVC, and I've talked about this many times. It's so hard to get the last minute reservations, and it's because of things like this.
Mhm.
Where they're just sitting idle. Nobody's gonna use that room. It's like it's frustrating. So
Yeah, for sure. Oh, you have any other thoughts on it, Mike, or any other questions for Joe
I
about
do
this
not.
specific topic?
I'll wrap us up. But Joe, before I wrap up, why don't you talk about yourself and your podcast? And
sure, I appreciate it, guys. Yeah, I'm over at the Disney Dads podcast. We do a weekly show. We have a couple different spin-off shows as well. I do it's been a few months, probably 3 or 4 months since I've done my show, Split Stays, which is a DVC Disney Resort Universal Resort show. I just haven't had the time to do it, but I have that show. We have Dames of the DDP, which is a show just kind of from the ladies' point of view. We have that show. We have a Universal Unleashed, which talks about Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure, Epic Universe. We also have the Disney Dads podcast, the Sorcerers Roundtable. It's like a running team over at Disney Dads podcast, and we do a running show as well. It's all about Run Disney events, as well as even like regular running events and staying healthy and fit. We've got a couple certified coaches over there that are part of our running group. I know you guys talked about it. I think we have 87 runners that are signed up through our Sorcerers Running Club, running marathon weekend, running everything from the 5K to Dopey. So it's gonna be pretty exciting for us. So yeah, check us out over there at the Disney Dads podcast, where our Facebook group is where a lot of our action takes place. Just search Disney Dads podcast Facebook group. That's pretty much where we're mostly active. Not really much on the Instagram. We have an Instagram, but we don't really use it. But check us out over there. We love it for you guys to join our family over there. And thanks for having me on today, guys. I appreciate it.
We appreciate it, Joe.
On, buddy. All right, I'll wrap it up. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at DVC Addicts. Email the show info@addictedtodvc.com and join our Facebook group, DVC Addicts. For my cousin and co-host Gary in Boston and Joe Quat in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah.
I'm Mike in Miami. Thanks for listening. We'll talk again next week.
Thank you for listening to the Addicted to DVC podcast with Mike and Gary. We want to hear from you. Email us at info@addictedtodvc.com and follow us on all socials at DVC Addicts. We appreciate you being a part of our DVC community, and we'll see you again on our next episode. Thanks again for listening, and welcome home.